Yo, 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 what it do? It's your girl Jay, the High Priestess, back at it again with the Scorpio season 2025 astrological reading. No tarot in this session, in this reading. We're just going over the important astrological transits that you need to know about. So hydrate, light it if you need it. This isn't an ad, but I'm sipping on a prebiotics botanical. What is this? That's not how it's needing to be described. Um, a prebiotic botanical plant flavored plant fiber flavored soda. If I could talk, Mercury's gonna retrograde. The stuttering and stammering is coming. But let's get into it. In Scorpio season 2025, in Scorpio season in general, still waters run deep. You got to know what you're looking at, ain't the whole of what you're looking at. In Scorpio season, there's always just so much more underneath the surface than we're willing to, or that was a word, that was a read, than we're willing to see. For some of us, there's so much more underneath the surface that's going on that you are willing to see. What you ready to do about it? But some of us, it's like, are you willing to see all that's underneath the surface, all that's going on? You know, when we're talking about Scorpio energy, this is a season of transformation, y'all. Purification, rebirth. And everybody wants the rebirth, but you got to have the death before you have the rebirth. Scorpio season and Scorpio energy is about power. It's the sign of sex, death, and other people's money. Scorpio rules the reproductive organs, and it's about privacy and power and desire and intensity. On October 22nd, Scorpio gets the sun, and I just feel like suddenly everyone's more mysterious, everyone's a little bit more psychic, everyone has access. Just because you have access to an energy doesn't mean that you're using it or know how to use it. So that comes up clearly, but I feel like we will have access to scorpionic powers, which is seeing through a bullshitter, seeing through the bullshit, seeing through lies, seeing through hesitation, being able to read body movement, being able to study and learn and observe people in a very specific way. There's something also about, I don't know, just feeling like sexier and cozier. This is the Scorpio Taurus axis that we're talking about. Like there's fashion in this line, just like in Libra Aries, on the Libra Aries axis. There's fashion, there's aesthetic, there's so many vibes, and Scorpio is just so emotional and intense and sexy and devoted and sweet, but fucking vicious at the same time. And so there's a lot of duality I feel like we have access to. But on October 22nd, Scorpio gets the sun, and I feel like we are going to get really, really clear on what our deepest fears are, so we can get really, really clear on what our deepest desires are. And it's changed from last year. The grand scheme, the big, big picture may not have changed, but some stuff has exposed itself. So the desires are, it's time to update them in some sort of way. On October 23rd, Jupiter in Cancer will be squaring Chiron retrograde in Aries. And I already told y'all, Jupiter in Cancer is going to bless beyond your wildest dreams. It's going to bless you beyond measure if you address that shit from your past, if you address your parent wounds, if you address whatever holds you back in your culture when it comes to roots or ethnicity, when it comes to, what did I write? Jupiter is going to bless you beyond measure if you face your past. And now with Chiron being there, it's like facing your identity wounds, facing childhood programming. This is specific mother and father wounds, but these are very big mother and father wounds that have impacted the programming of yourself. And so, yes, that's really grand. That's really like that. It's almost vague in a way to me, but it's going to hit all of us so differently. But just know Chiron retrograde in Aries, which he's been there for a while and retrograde for a while, is like, bruh, there are these identity wounds that you can't take this shit with you. Where you're going, the neediness, the childishness, the immaturity, the jealousy, the competitive energy, all of, like there's just some shit, some Aries themed shit and some Cancer themed shit we can't take with us. And that stuff that we can't take with us is not conducive to us experiencing our abundance, experiencing our expansion the way that we're supposed to experience it. So it's like if the divine has to like rip it from you and shred you in a way because you won't let go, they're fine doing that. Hopefully you won't make them. I don't normally talk about aspects a lot in this reading, but I do feel like that's going to be an important one. Jupiter in Cancer squaring Chiron retrograde in Aries on October 23rd. Now, on October 29th, Mercury goes into Sagittarius, and we collectively start to mature a little bit. And at the same time, collectively start to like become teenage rebels. Our mind starts to wander. I feel like we start to seek out depth in philosophy. We want a deeper meaning. We want to understand. Mercury is a planet of the mind and communication and technology, and Sagittarius is a sign of I understand. And so Mercury in going into Sagittarius wants to change or alter your understanding in some sort of way. And then right behind Mercury comes Mars. On November 4th, Mars will enter Sagittarius. And I feel like we are, I wrote, driven to truly, madly, deeply understand and pursue Sagittarian themes. So there is all of a sudden this drive to plan a long distance trip or to start traveling more, exploring more, or van life or something of that nature. You may be desiring higher learning. Some of us are going back to school. Some of us are getting certified in something. Some of us are going to start taking classes or retreats or getting a mentor or some kind of even moral stuff can start to come up, being motivated to be more ethical or to surround yourself with more ethical people, more like your moral standards raising. But really, what I think Mars and Mercury in Sagittarius want you to do is to start really understanding how authenticity outweighs everything. You being real is so much more interesting and activating to the divine than you being ethical or moral in some sort of way. I'm not telling you go do bad shit. I'm telling you to be who you fucking are. And if who you are does unethical shit, the divine's going to respond to you with that authenticity. And it's just about understanding that authenticity is the highest octave, the highest frequency that there is. It's a higher frequency than love. And I just feel like we are being really, really pushed to be our whole selves so we can see the way that the universe responds and the divine responds to said authenticity. Imagine consistent authenticity, you consistently showing up and really being your whole self. See how life changes. On November 5th, we have the full moon in Taurus. Hydrate. And I feel like full moons are a period of release. Taurus is the sign of I have. There's something about releasing an outdated sense of self-worth, releasing an outdated um, job or money habits or career habits. I'm going to do a separate video. It's a full moon, so there's that. But I do feel like letting go of old values, what you valued last year or last full moon in Taurus, ain't the same. And so what you need to release, what you released last full moon in Taurus will not be what you're trying to release this full moon in Taurus. And so there's some sort of progression. As I say that, I'm looking over and I see the Nine of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. I'm telling you, there's an ending of a cycle in the realm of your self-worth, in the realm of career, in the realm of money, how you show up in your family, how you show up in your day-to-day life, how you carry yourself. Some shit is changing. And I feel like we're being like moved to have the audacity to add text on these hoes. So there's that. On November 6th, Venus, the planet of love and who governs the function of attraction, is going into Scorpio. And ooh-wee, um, ooh-wee. I think Venus in Scorpio is it's like Mercury and Scorpio needed you to get really clear on what it is that you desire. Venus is like, all right, you've had time to think about it. Now I'm going to start drawing that stuff in and let's see if this is what you actually want. I feel like Venus in Scorpio is like, what you wanted wants you. What you want wants you. And so there is definitely an opportunity for relationships to pop off, to deepen, for sexuality go to the next level, pregnancy. This could be also attracting in experiences and ordeals and interactions that are meant to activate transformation in you. I feel like there is a powerful shift in value and how you carry yourself that's going to be attracting in just a higher caliber of what it is that you want. On November 7th, Pluto in Aquarius will be semi-squaring the North Node. Like I said, I don't normally talk about aspects in this reading, but this one I feel like is important. Pluto is Hades. Pluto is the planet of ordeals and the transformations that arise from them. Squares are like arm wrestling energy. So a semi-square is like a weak arm wrestle. Excuse me. And he's squaring the North Node, which is like, he's actually squaring the true node, but we know him. There is a difference between the true node and the North Node. I don't want to get all into that. He's squaring the true node, and that has to do with your mission in life and where you're at with that and what it is that you're supposed to be doing whilst you're here. That's not the only asteroid or placement that denotes destiny, but it is a big one. And so I feel like with Pluto and Aquarius semi-squaring the North Node in Pisces, the true node in Pisces, I feel like there is some sort of an ordeal or there's some sort of inconvenience or a perceived inconvenience that is leading you to your destiny. And I wrote faith eyes needed. There's some stuff that I feel like that is uncomfortable that is coming into your life, that's like uncomfortable conversations, uncomfortable shifts, and you're going to have to see everything through the lens of faith. See, like you're being invited to, at least. You don't have to do shit but breathe and die. But you are being invited to see things through the lens of faith. And that means when bad things or uncomfortable or negativity comes up, that you're like, all right, God got me. I see you doing something here. All right, I'm not going to freak out. You're doing something. All right, let's go. And I think that's what the faith eyes. It's like, can we put our faith glass, can we put our faith lens on? You know what I mean? I feel like it's something you're gonna need to reach for and put on actively. So those of us who are already like deep in our faith journey and like feel developed in regards to faith, I feel like you need to apply said faith to what you're seeing with your physical eyes. Okay. On that same day, Uranus is going to retrograde back into Taurus. So he is leaving Gemini and going back into Taurus where he was the last 7 years. And I wrote, time to reevaluate your understanding of money, possessions, change and upheaval. God wants you to know that you can endure and overcome anything. I do think that there could be changes in career, changes in how you make money, changes in what you value. And I just feel like it's time to reevaluate like your your fear response. You know, like Uranus is upheaval and enlightenment and change and electricity. And I just feel like there are these jolts that don't sting as much when he's retrograde. It's like it's just like, oh, it's not it's like, oh, versus like, ah, and you're like sliding down a wall. You know, I do think there are changes in how you handle your money, how money interacts with you, how value interacts with you. I told you there was all of these things that are coming up, especially with that full moon in Taurus, about letting go of an old standard of self-worth, because the new standard of self-worth is coming in. This is the fucking motto. This is the fucking goal. This is the aspiration to get 9 of Pentacles level style audacious and worthy and valuable and confident. And I feel like you doing that is going to change how the energy of money interacts with you. And I feel like this is positive. So just because it's a retrograde doesn't mean that it's bad. Bad. It all is happening for you. On November 9th, Mercury retrogrades in Sagittarius. So on October 29th, Mercury goes into Sagittarius. On November 9th, he retrogrades in Sagittarius. And we're like, in Sagittarius is the sign of I understand. Sagittarius governs long distance travel, higher learning, courts, more morals, morality, philosophy. And so we're reevaluating all of those themes. We're being prepared for a shedding of outdated philosophies and outdated truths, things that you thought were true. I feel like you're letting some shit go. There's like some clarity that's going to be coming in. Now on Jupiter, no, on 11/11, on November 11th, Jupiter will retrograde in Cancer. And I put, how do you feel about God? How do you feel about abundance? How do you feel about expansion? How do you feel about being cosmically repositioned into a new life? I feel like there's lots to reevaluate about this repositioning that's happened in your life. For so many of us, it's like the closer we get to the end of the year, the closer we get to 2026, the more we're starting to realize, oh shit, 2026 is about to be fucking it. 2025 was not it, but it so was necessary. I know that this is a 9-year, nines are endings. 2025 put a lot of shit in the grave that needed to be laid to rest respectfully, you know? But 2026 is 10, which breaks down into 1. This is a huge reset. It's a new dawn, a new day, a new life. And we trying to get all this old shit, small shit to stop so the big new shit can pop. Okay. Um there is a lot to reevaluate about family, about your past, and I do feel like there's a lot that's coming to an end. Cancer is the end of a matter. Cancer, the sign of Cancer governs the end of a matter as well as the past and roots and home and family. Yeah. But some shit can get ended in Cancer. You know what I mean? And with Jupiter in Cancer, you can really offload some big emotional baggage, some big family drama and shit. Um, just these old narratives and stories we've told ourselves, like, this is why we are the way that we are. This is why I have to behave this way. I have to show up. I have to respect this. I have to respect that, blah, blah, blah. There's just old programming that I feel like is being removed. On November 18th, Mercury will retrograde back into Scorpio. And I feel like Mercury retrograding back into Scorpio is like, remember what you said you wanted? Remember how you said you wanted that? The plan's gonna get updated somehow, babe. And it needs to get updated. But before the plan can get updated, before the desires can get updated, you got to make sure like you're clear on why the update is needed. And lastly, on November 20th, we have the new moon in Scorpio. New moons are when we plant seeds. Sorry, my hair is annoying me. Anyway, new moons are when we plant seeds. Scorpio is a sign of I desire. Of course, there will be a separate reading that I'll do a separate video for this. But the new moon in Scorpio is like, yo, what do you desire now? Remember all that shit you were talking about, all those things that you wanted? Did you ever do anything to move towards them? If you did, what's up? Okay, you have some of those things. Some of those things are starting to come closer to you. New moon in Scorpio is like, what do you want? Noah out of the Notebook voice, like, what do you want? That's how I feel like the divine is really. And Jupiter, even him retrograde in Cancer, is like, bro, I want to give you shit. I got all this dope shit to give. It's taking up space. I want to give it to you. What do you want? The desires need to be updated, and they will be. I love you. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a fan fucking tastic Scorpio season and that you get eaten off the bone. Hey, love you.